Hey y'all, so there are two diagnoses that I straight up just do not trust without MRI imaging. Now the reason for that is they're too generic. So one of them is sciatica. So I say that because a lot of times people will say like when they start experiencing some sort of nerve discomfort either in the glute or maybe even a little bit down the hamstring, they're like, oh, it's sciatica. And so it's one of those that people self-diagnose a whole lot. But then also, even if you go to the doctor, you tell them the symptom, and they're like, oh, it sounds like sciatica. And it's they're diagnosing off of this symptom, off of what the person is feeling. They're not diagnosing based off what the body is actually doing. So you could have what's called piriformis syndrome, which is entirely a muscular issue. You could work on the rotators of the hip and working through the glutes and literally completely get rid of sciatic symptoms that's actually piriformis syndrome and not sciatica at all. So it's one of those things that people, they're like, oh, I have sciatica. But if you don't actually have an MRI image that shows that we have compression that's taking place at this nerve root, then it's not actually sciatica, which is fabulous news. But why would we want to be spurting around, oh, I've got sciatica, you've got sciatica, and you've got sciatica? Like, what a horrible doctor to do that. Not that they're doing it on purpose, they're just like, oh, that's what it sounds like because you're describing the symptoms and that's what you're experiencing. But yeah, good news. It doesn't actually have to be sciatica. And then the other one is rotator cuff injury. So again, it's one of those that people self-diagnose. They're like, oh yeah, I've got a friend that had this, and so that's what I'm experiencing. And maybe people self-diagnose it, they Google it, or they go to the doctor, and again, they describe the symptoms, and the doctor may be like, oh, it sounds like a rotator cuff issue, because it is common, right? Like the shoulder, because it's a mobile joint, like the shoulder is held together. A bit more with it, like it allows a lot of its movement with muscle. And so what ends up happening is you got these larger muscle groups, like people that love push-ups and stuff, like larger muscle groups that take over, and then it starts changing, and the rotator cuff isn't allowed to do its thing, which is to support, to rotate, and then keep its cuff, right? Like that's its job. That's why it gets its name that way. And so, but what ends up happening is people go, they may go to a doctor, and they describe the symptoms, and they're like, oh, rotator cuff. I cannot tell you how many times I have sat with a brand new client and they're like, oh, my doctor told me that I've got a rotator cuff issue, so here I am and I'm here to see you so we can fix it. However, if I don't have an MRI to tell me what muscle of the rotator cuff, because you got four of them, what muscle of the rotator cuff is the problem child, I'm a little limited in what I'm able to do. Or I could be, I could do better if I knew exactly what was going on. Now I can do my own testing, right? Like I can do muscle testing and range of motion testing and start figuring out, okay, what do we feel is going on? However, with a rotator cuff issue, there's other things that can come into play that will be seen in an MRI that I would not be able to see. So anyway, there you go. So the two that don't let somebody diagnose you with it without an MRI image. And that's just my 2 cents as a person that does rehab and stuff. So, anyway. Love you guys. Oh, and also, by the way, so rotator cuff injury, like I know that, people do surgeries and all the things, but the rotator cuff by design, if you tear one of them, it is actually like God designed it to where it is still able to function and you are able to rehab it without surgery. And like God literally designed it to be able, like he knew. It's almost like he knew. It's almost like he knew. Who would have thunk it? Anyway, so again, all the good news and all the good things. So I love you. Bye.